Hey guys, it's Raythe here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the author of Everdark. Every week, I get together with the Everdark cast and we talk about things related to vampires, voice acting, and life. Sometimes I ask them questions, but sometimes they ask me questions. And by the way, we want to hear your answers to those same questions in the comments. Okay, so Julian has agreed to give the sleeping vampire king, Daemon, his blood in return for helping defeat Selene and Heath, the two teenage vampires that have been stalking him and Julian and are going to do terrible, terrible things to them if they don't get help. If you were in Julian's position yourself, would you trust Daemon? Adam, I'm curious what you have to say, as well as Jay. Would you trust Daemon? Would you do it?
No. I mean, honestly, at this point in the story, I don't think I would be able to get my bearings to really, I don't know. I don't know what I would do in the situation, but I do know, I think I'm far more of a Christian. I think I'm way more skeptical and analytical, and I just, the shock of everything. I'd like to think I could rise to the occasion, and I trust is the wrong word. I don't think he really has a choice, but there's a lot in Julian that I admire. There's a lot of like his impulsiveness and his passion and his kind of throwing himself fully into things that I wish I had. Were I in that situation, I don't know that I would behave the same way necessarily. I'd probably run, just run as fast as I can and keep running.
I think Julian is what I wish I could be like too. I mean, I sort of put him towards a Nathan Drake, James Kirk sort of personality, you know, the guys who are going to just like, let's go down to that planet. I know it's filled with dangerous monsters, but we'll seduce them. It'll be fine. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
We all need that friend. It keeps the world turning. It makes for interesting stories. But someone like me, if given the choice, would lock all my doors and just stay home. It's safer.
What about you? What about you, Jay? What would you do?
Oh, 100%.
Now, you're not as big as Aristeus, right?
100% trust Daemon. I'd be, in a heartbeat. I'd be like, yep, go for it. Go. I don't know, survival instinct. I think in that state, I think the first suggestion that seems like it's a good suggestion, I would just be like, yeah, I think that's the right suggestion. And afterwards, I would regret it maybe. But I think, in that situation, I'd grab the first person to help. If that happens to be Daemon, then looks like I'm Julian, I guess.
You could be in a worse situation. I mean, Daemon's pretty good looking.
Right.
At least you got that.
Yeah. He'll protect me. He's good looking. Yeah.
Yes. I think that one of the things that we have this situation where Julian especially has gone in believing vampires are real, but believing they're murderers, that they're killers. And yet he has to trust them. While Christian had been, safe in the light, saying there are no such thing as vampires. And now he's sort of screwed. He's got to hope that there are to save him. So it was a moment where I wondered, honestly, when I was writing Julian, would he do this? And I knew he would. Will he regret it? We'll have to find out.
I think there's a very interesting idea of trust and respect throughout the first volume, in that Julian has absolutely no reason to trust Daemon, but he loves Christian. And Christian is the one who's at threat there, and he has no other options other than letting Christian die, which is just not going to happen. But as the story evolves, I'm constantly looking at those conversations, especially with Daemon, who seems to believe everything he does is, of course, correct because he's the king. But this idea of respect and trust, that trust must be earned, and it must be earned with respect rather than demanding someone behave in a certain way or forcing someone to behave in a certain way. So I'm interested in watching that dynamic, especially in the early days where the only two people who can trust each other are Christian and Julian.
That's actually very, very true. I think because we know Daemon is incredibly powerful. I mean, sort of beyond, and Julian refers to him often enough as alien. He is definitely different.
Yes, I love that line that he is not human and maybe never was. So I really love that idea of this even though the vampires are a supernatural creature, that Daemon is something else.
Yes, very much. And I think I have always known that he is deeply honorable. He has no reason to harm someone unless it serves his purposes. So he would not harm Julian because he simply there's no need to. Does that make sense? It's like going out of your way to kill some ants on an anthill in Africa if you're living here. That's sort of how this is for Daemon. But Julian doesn't know this. He has no idea. He's dealing with something that he thinks at least killed his parents. And he takes that leap, but it's his love for Christian that keeps him going. You were so right on that. It's more like he'll sacrifice himself, he'll do whatever just to save Christian. He can't have another person go.
Absolutely. It is that Julian's life is secondary to Christian's. And I think the feeling's mutual. I think the same thing for Christian. The idea of them existing without each other is just not a choice at all.
Well, on that beautiful note, I think we will go on to the next question. That was lovely.
I'm not just beautiful.
You don't just have a lovely voice.
He's modest as well.
Always 100% modest. That's Edward.
And very, very talented.
Very, very talented. I hoped you liked this behind the scenes discussion with the cast and crew of the Everdark podcast. If you want to join the conversation, come to YouTube and tell us what you think in the comments. And just so you know, I'm not the only one reading the comments. The entire cast is too, and they're very eager and excited to hear from you. If you are already listening on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe to get notified when the next episode of Everdark comes out.